This video tutorial will cover specific settings needed for customers using the Eyefinity interface in MyVision Express 2014. These settings are essential for successful submission of VSP claims using the Eyefinity interface feature. The Eyefinity interface allows you to get VSP authorizations, submit VSP and non-VSP claims, and send private lab orders and RX orders directly from MyVision Express. Using the Eyefinity interface will require that specific information be completed in the company information setup, facility address setup, provider setup, supplier lab setup, inventory setup, and insurance setup. Let's start in the company information setup screen. Go to File, Setup, Company Information. Here you can enter your location's address, contact information, and website. This information will appear on any receipts or invoices that are printed for the customer. Click the Location Settings tab. To activate the Eyefinity interface, check the box next to Eyefinity. Next, click the VSP tab. If your office uses one VSP user ID and password when accessing the Eyefinity website, you may enter that information in this section. You will need to contact Eyefinity to get your VSP office ID. If you have multiple VSP user IDs and passwords, you can enter individual VSP credentials in the provider setup screen. Once you have made your changes, click the Save icon located at the top toolbar and close. Now we need to enter your facility address. Go to File, Setup, Insurance, Facility Address. You will want to enter the same information that you would normally include in box 32 of the 1500 form. You can enter an unlimited amount of facilities in this section. So if you render services at different locations, you can enter each of those in this section to select on the claim. To add a facility address, click the Add button. Enter the facility name and location information. Be sure to enter the 9-digit zip code with no dash for 5010 compliance. In the NPI field, enter the group NPI for that location. The POS field is where you enter the place of service code that you normally enter in box 24B of the 1500 form. If you have a multi-location practice, you can link facilities to one or all of your locations. Check the All Locations checkbox if the facility is used by providers in all locations. If the box is unchecked, the Facility Locations tab will appear. This tab will allow you to select only the locations that are associated with this facility. Once you have made your changes, click the Save icon located on the top toolbar and close. Next is the Provider Setup screen. Go to File, Setup, Insurance, Provider. This is where you will enter anyone who renders a service. To enter a new rendering provider, click the Add button. For a multi-location practice, you can assign a provider to one location in the Provider Location drop-down. This will make the individual an option as a provider on claims for that specific location. If no location is added, that provider will be available for all locations. Enter the rendering provider's first and last name and the individual MPI number. Be sure to include the 9-digit zip code in the address section. If you normally enter the provider's social security number in box 25 of the insurance claim, select SSN in the federal tax type drop-down and enter the social security number in the ID field. If you use the provider's EIN number, select EIN in federal tax type and enter that number in the ID field. Signature on file is no longer acceptable and will be rejected. You must type in the provider's name in the signature field. To select the default facility, first click the Facilities tab. Link the provider to any of the facilities where they render a service by clicking to highlight. When you click the Details tab again, and then click the default facility, any of the facilities that were highlighted will show in the drop-down menu. To add a facility to your options in the Facilities tab, go to File, Setup, Insurance, Facility Address. For the Eyefinity interface to work properly, you must enter a VSP user ID, VSP password, and VSP Office ID for each of your providers. The VSP user ID and VSP password are the same that you would use to log into the Eyefinity website. You must contact Eyefinity's customer care and inform them that you are going to use MyVision Express to submit claims. They will then provide you with the VSP Office ID. If all of your providers use the same VSP credentials, you may enter that information by going to File, Setup, Company Information, and then select the VSP tab. To the right, you can include the provider's insurance numbers. You will also want to include the taxonomy code for the provider in this section. To do so, click the Add button. Under the insurance type, select Provider Taxonomy-ZZ. In the insurance number field, enter 152W00000X if the provider is an optometrist. Enter 207W00000X if the provider is an ophthalmologist. The default billing provider is what is entered in box 33 of the 1500 form. When you receive payment back from the insurance company, the check is made out to the billing provider. If the billing provider is one of your rendering providers, enter that provider to the list and save. That provider will then be available to select in the drop-down menu of the default billing provider field. If the billing provider is the name of your practice, you will need to add a new line item for your practice. Enter the practice name in the last name field. You can leave the first name field blank. Enter the address with the 9-digit zip code with no dash in the corresponding fields. Enter the practice group NPI number in the NPI field. You do not need to enter the VSP user ID, VSP password, and VSP Office ID for the practice because that information is used to pull authorizations. Once you save the practice in the provider section, you will be able to select it under the default billing provider field for any of your providers. Click the Save icon on the top toolbar to store your providers, and close. Now we can link the default rendering provider to the in-house physician so that when the physician is selected at the order level, the rendering provider is filled in automatically in boxes 24J and 31 on the insurance claim form. To do this, go to File, Setup, Physician/Resource, In-house. You will want to have all of your in-house physicians listed in this section to select the physician that is conducting an exam and to specify who the patient will be seeing in the calendar module. Click the default rendering provider field to view the drop-down list. Select the default provider to be linked to the physician. Also select the taxonomy code in the taxonomy field. You can do this for each of the physicians in the same drop-down box. To add an in-house physician, click the Add button and complete the corresponding fields for that physician. You may also choose to import the physician's information by clicking the Import button and searching for the doctor. Once you've made your changes, click the Save button on the top toolbar and close. The next step is adding VSP labs to submit your VSP orders using the Eyefinity interface. Go to File, Setup, Supplier/Lab. click the Import VSP Lab button. When the VSP Lab list opens, be sure to click the Refresh VSP Lab list for the most up-to-date listing. Select the lab you wish to import and then click the Import button. You will now see that the lab is available in the Supplier Lab list. When using the Import feature, the lab name, city and state where it is located, and the VSP lab code have come along with the import feature. Also, the job transmission method has already been selected to VSP Lab. The VSP Lab code must be included for successful order submissions through My Vision Express using the Eyefinity interface. To manually enter any additional labs, click the Add button. Fill out the lab information in the corresponding fields. You must check the box located next to Lab to make the lab an option when sending out an order. The Job Transmission Method field allows you to choose how you will be submitting orders to the lab. The credentials associated with the job transmission method depend on which method you are using. For a VSP lab, enter the VSP lab code. For Labzilla or Innovations, you'll need to enter the lab ID. For VisionWeb, enter the bill account, ship account, login, and password. For Optivision, enter the email address. And for DVI, in the login field, enter the account web number, and under Lab ID, enter the lab web number. If you are a multi-location practice and you only use the lab at one of your locations, you can specify that location in the location drop-down. Or you can leave it blank to be an option for all locations. If each of your locations has different lab credentials, you may enter them for each location in the Details tab. To manually add a supplier, click the Add button, fill out the corresponding fields with the supplier's information, and check the box of the item category that you receive from this supplier. If you are adding a supplier and you would like to include what items you receive from them, you may do so under the Inventory tab. Once you have checked the box in the General tab and then click the Inventory tab, you will see a list of all the manufacturers listed in your inventory under that category. Click to highlight any of the manufacturers that you purchase from that supplier. Once you have made your changes, click the Save button and close.
Now that we've completed the settings necessary for the Eyefinity interface in your general setup, we can move on to the Eyefinity interface settings for your inventory setup. We will need to start with the procedure codes. Go to File, Setup, Insurance, Procedure Codes. Here we have a list of all the procedure codes available in My Vision Express. Eyefinity interface users must import all of the VSP option codes. To do this, click the VSP Import button. Once the list opens, hold Ctrl-A on your keyboard. This will select all of the option codes, and then click the Import button. Because this next step is only necessary for the pricing of your spectacle lenses, we recommend hitting right-click and Filter. Under Type, select Spectacle and hit the OK button. Now we will only be viewing the spectacle lens procedure codes. Here you will need to price these codes under the usual and customary column. Begin with the base price of a pair for the 2100, 2200, and 2300. Then scroll down to the add-on codes. Enter the additional price on top of the base price of the lens depending on the code description. Be sure to specify under lens type if this is for single or multi-lens. When finished, click the Save icon and close. Now that you have priced out your spectacle lens procedure codes, you can import the spectacle lenses in the Spectacle Lens Inventory section. Go to File, Inventory, Spectacle Lens. Now click the VSP Import button. Any lenses highlighted in red signify that that lens has already been imported into your spectacle lens inventory. To import additional lenses, check the box under the Import column to select that lens. For easier navigation through the list, click the Filter button. You can search by style and/or material, and then click the OK button. Now you will only view the search criteria set in that filter section. Once you have made your selections, click the OK button. The lenses will then be added to your spectacle lens inventory. You can view and make changes to the lens details by clicking the lens in the list and then clicking the Modify button. You can add any additional information about the lens in this section. You will notice that the retail price takes the sum of the usual and customary price for any procedure codes attached to this lens. For Eyefinity interface users, the unit must be set to pair. You may contact a technician at 877-882-7456, option 3, to change the unit of all spectacle lenses from each to pair once you have finished importing the lenses. In the Treatment tab, you can select what lens treatments are available for that lens. To create additional options for the style and/or material of your lens, go to File, Setup, Categories. Because this does not have to do with your exam module, click Non-Exam and then scroll down to Spectacle Lens Material. Here you can delete any of the options that are not highlighted in gray. For any of the ones that are highlighted in gray, those are hard-coded and cannot be removed, but you may choose to make them inactive, and this will remove them from the drop-down list. To add a new option, click the Add button. Here you can add any new material that you would like.
The sort box is just organizing these options in sequential order. So if you wanted this to appear on the top of the list, you can enter any number lower than 20. Next, you'll want to scroll to the right and link this new material to its VSP code and the VSP description. Next, select Spectacle Lens Style. Once again, to add a new option, click the Add button and enter the new style. Scroll to the right to link this new style to the corresponding VSP code and VSP description. Once finished, click the Save button and close. Now to apply these new materials or styles, return to the Spectacle Lens inventory. You'll want to use the Filter button up at the top to select the lens that you want to make the adjustments to. To highlight multiple lenses that you're applying this change to, hold down your Control key on the keyboard and click to highlight each lens. Then click the Details button. Anything selected in this section will then apply to any of the lenses that you highlighted in your Spectacle Lens inventory listing. Once done, click the OK button. And you'll notice that those lenses have now moved to their new lens style. Once you have made changes to the lens style option and material option, click the Save button and close. Next, we need to add the lens treatments to the lens treatment inventory. Go to File, Inventory, Lens Treatments. You can modify the price of a lens treatment already listed by clicking the treatment to select and then clicking the Modify button. Once you make your adjustments, click the OK button to save. To remove a lens treatment that you do not use, click to highlight and then click the Delete button. For Eyefinity interface users, you will need to click the VSP Import button and then click Synchronize All to be sure that you have all your lens treatments with the corresponding VSP codes. Once synchronization is complete, you can see that both the procedure code and the VSP code are included in the lens treatment. Once you've added your lens treatments and priced them accordingly, click the Save icon and close. The final step for the Eyefinity interface settings in the inventory setup is under the Frames inventory. Go to File, Inventory, Frames. You can modify any existing frames by clicking on the frame and then clicking the Modify button. In the Frame Details window, you can add specific information about the frame, including its measurements, material, and wholesale price. To add a new frame, click the Add button.
You will only need to manually enter a new manufacturer and/or collection once. Once you save the frame and add another one, you'll notice that it has then been added to the drop-down menu. You can enter the retail price of the frame in the retail field. You may also include the wholesale price of that frame under the group cost field. If for any reason you got this frame at a lower price, you can include what you actually paid in this cost field to get the most accurate profit reports. Eyefinity interface users must include the rim type and shape for the frame for successful VSP lab submissions. You will need to select one of the gray highlighted options. You do have the option to select these at the time of the order, but to avoid having to remember each time, we recommend saving the information in the frame inventory. You can change the rim type of multiple frames at once using the Details button. Hold the Control key on your keyboard and click to highlight any of the frames with the same rim type. Now click the Details button. Under Rim Type, select what you'd like to apply to those frames and hit OK. This will update the rim type for any of the ones that were highlighted. Once you have made your changes, click the Save icon and close.
Next, we have the insurance company setup. Go to File, Setup, Insurance, Insurance Companies. Here you can store all the insurance providers that you submit to. To add a new insurance company manually, click the Add button and enter the insurance company's information in the corresponding fields. Be sure to select the type as either vision or medical, the default place of service, and the insurance type. To avoid the error of billing the wrong insurance company, leave the Available in Orders box unchecked. Eyefinity interface users have the option to import insurance companies. Simply click the Import button. Make sure the Eyefinity radio button is selected, and click Refresh VSP List to ensure that you are selecting from the most up-to-date list. Select the insurance carrier you wish to import by clicking to highlight. Next, click the Import button. You will now see that the selected insurance is available under the insurance company listing. It has come over with the company name and the payer ID. This payer ID is what is used by the Eyefinity interface to send those claims out to the appropriate company. You will want to include the address, city, state, and phone number for the insurance company, especially if you would like for the name and address to be printed on the top of the claim form. Once you have entered all of the insurance companies that you submit to, click the Save button and close. Now we can add insurance plans for the insurance companies that were entered. From the insurance company screen, click the Plans button. You may also access this window by navigating to File, Setup, Insurance, Insurance Plans. To add a plan to an insurance carrier, click the Add button. In the Insurance field drop-down, select the insurance company. You will notice that any insurance company that has no plans added under it yet will be highlighted in red. In the Plan field, enter the name of the plan. If you have a multi-location practice, you can select what locations accept this plan. Eyefinity interface users should not rename or delete the insurance plan for Choice, Signature, Advantage, or Value. This will directly affect the VSP insurance submissions through the Eyefinity interface. Once you have finished adding your insurance plans, click the X and Yes to save changes. Now that the Eyefinity interface settings are complete, there are a few additional steps during workflow for successful submissions. First, we need to enter information in the patient's profile. To open a patient's profile, click the patient's icon. The patient search window will open. You can enter search criteria for that patient and click the search button, or if this is a new patient, click the add button. In the Profile tab, select the provider in the Provider drop-down menu. You will also want to include the patient's Social Security number. Next, click the Insurance tab. Then click the Add button. Select the insurance company and plan for the patient. You will not be able to select the insurance or the insurance plan in the order screen without first adding it to the patient's profile. Click the SSN button to bring over the patient's Social Security number. You will also need to select the correct insured party with relation in the Insured section. Once you have added the necessary information, click the Save button and close. The final steps will be in the order screen. To open the order screen, click the order icon. Click the Patient button to link the patient to the order. Select the physician who conducted the exam. You'll also need at least one diagnosis code. If this is a spectacle lens order, be sure that the lenses that you selected are VSP lenses. Select the insurance company, the insurance plan, and the authorization number. With these settings in place, you will have no problem using all of the Eyefinity interface features in My Vision Express 2014. This concludes our video tutorial. Thank you for watching. Please remember to visit us at Support Central, where you can view additional videos.